Coming up on DITV, a shooting took place at a San Diego synagogue on Saturday, leaving many with heavy hearts.
And later, U.S. Representative Eric Swalwell stopped by a North Liberty home over the weekend for his presidential campaign. We spoke with him to learn how he hopes to win over Iowa.
I'll tell you what Hawkeyes are heading to the NFL, and I promise to not joke about the fact that Nebraska didn't have a single player drafted coming up in our special DITV Sports post-draft show.
And it's never too late for some snow. Find out more on weather.
All that and more coming up on this Monday, April 29th edition of DITV.
Don't go anywhere. DITV starts right now.
Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Noah Gowdy.
And I'm Melissa Meter.
Tragedy took place in California on Saturday after a man entered a synagogue with a loaded weapon. 19-year-old John Ernest arrived at the Chabad of Poway synagogue during a Passover service and proceeded to open fire on its members with an automatic rifle. The shooting resulted in the death of a 6-year-old woman along with injuring 3 people. Ernest was chased off by a security guard at the synagogue and fled the scene. Shortly after, Ernest called himself in to the authorities and has been in custody since. Among those injured was Rabbi Yisrael Goldstein, who has been using the event to try and spread light into the world.
He taught me that we need to battle darkness with light. No matter how dark the world is, we need to think of light. A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. A lot of light will push away much more.
Investigations into the attack and John Ernest are still underway.
Many 2020 Democratic presidential candidates are seeking out big venues to hold rallies in Iowa, but one contender thought small by speaking at a North Liberty potluck over the weekend. DITV reporter Kaylin Cluck was there to talk with Congressman Eric Swalwell about his campaign strategy.
As 2020 Democratic presidential candidates flood Iowa with rallies and campaign stops, U.S. House Representative Eric Swalwell took his campaign to the North Liberty suburbs on Sunday afternoon. It was hosted by a group known as the Potluck Insurgency, who advocate for Democratic causes and elections. Sunday's small event was held at the home of members Ed and Jane Cranston.
I know that Eric Swalwell, who's coming today, has said he's going to win Iowa 30 people at a time. So that fits with today.
Those are twin grandkids.
It's really warmth and rapport.
Fittingly, it was about 30 people who gathered to hear Swalwell speak on Sunday. He's currently a lesser-known candidate in the race, but there's still 10 months until the Iowa caucus.
Early, and part of going to house parties like this is getting ideas from people.
In a living room filled with plates of homemade cookies and potential voters, he laid out his case for the presidency.
And Donald Trump is not going to be president in 2021.
Swalwell has been a U.S. House Representative for California since 2013. The 38-year-old congressman was born in Sac City, Iowa, and emphasized his working-class family roots. One of his biggest concerns is eliminating government interest on student loan debts.
My plan, it's work study and then community service, and that's debt-free college.
Swalwell is also campaigning on government-funded health insurance for anyone who wants it and increasing funding to research cures for ALS and cancer. But his top priority is preventing gun violence.
We can keep our pistols, keep our shotguns, keep our rifles, but let's ban and buy back the 15 million assault rifles that are in our community today.
With around 20 Democratic candidates already running for the presidential nomination, Swalwell will have to fight hard to differentiate himself as the caucus nears.
I've been in Congress for 7 years. I've been on the Intelligence Committee. I know who our enemies are abroad and what the threat is to the rule of law here at home. And there'd be no question that I'd be ready to be Commander-in-Chief.
Time will tell if Iowa and the rest of the country are ready for him. Reporting from North Liberty, this is Kaylin Cluck, DITV.
Well, Melissa, the weekend was just a bit chilly, and let me tell you, I was not a fan of it.
You know what, Noah? Me either. I will have to agree with you. Let's toss it to Dylan in the weather studio to find out if this cold weather is going to be gone for good.
Yes, thank you, Melissa and Noah. Well, we still will be a little cold this morning as we have a temperature of 48 degrees with a 100% chance of rain coming down this morning and throughout the day. Now, as we move into tonight, the rain may die down a little bit. We have a 60% chance of showers and our temperature at 49 degrees this evening. Now, as we move to the extended 5-day forecast, as I mentioned, our temperature gets up to 61 degrees today with a low of 45. As we move into tomorrow, the rain continues. We have an 80% chance of showers with our high in the low 50s and a low in the upper 40s. Wednesday, the rain looks like it dies down a bit as we only have a 20% chance of showers with cloudy skies and our high getting up to 66 degrees and a low in the low 50s. Thursday, we have a 30% chance of some isolated thunderstorms throughout the day with our high at 63 degrees and a low in the low 40s. Finally, to wrap up our weeks, it looks like it should be the best day of the week on Friday. We have a high of 66 and a low of 46 with the sun peeking its face out a little bit throughout the day. Now, while we got no snow here in Iowa, there was 2.5 inches of snow in Chicago, and more snow is expected. As you can see here, there is roughly 3 to 5 inches of snow in Cheyenne, Boulder, and other parts of Colorado, including 1 inch down south in Denver. Now, none of this snow was planning to hit any of Iowa, but look out for the states that are a little westward as they'll get some of this snowfall. Now, as looking at the overall temperature outlook for the rest of May, as you can see, it will be below average way up north and then near or slightly below average around the rest of the middle part of America. And it's definitely warmer on the coast, though. There's above average temperatures on both sides of the coast. So be nice over there, but we're still kind of cold for the rest of May here in Iowa. Well, Melissa and Noah, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Dylan. Researchers on campus were able to share their findings with the public this weekend at the University of Iowa's Public Policy Center's 30th anniversary event. The event featured an appearance by Iowa City Mayor Jim Throgmorton. He began with a speech about the importance of public policy in the community, stating, quote, "Our plan is to foster a more sustainable city, address racial inequality, have affordable neighborhoods, allow for immigrants and refugees to better adjust, address climate change, and revise some of our city codes to help with sustainability and bring more diversity to the community," end quote. The researchers covered many topics, including water quality, mental and physical health, climate change, and minimum wage. After the event, audience members were able to speak with the researchers and pick which presentation they felt impacted Iowa City the most.
Associate Professor Matt Nellenman has received praise from many students. He extends his teaching to the outside of a typical classroom setting. Some of these techniques, including bubble machines to show how a contagious disease can spread to leading students, wear the same equipment doctors in the field house use. This hands-on experience will stay with the students long after they've completed his class. The class has been steadily gaining popularity since 2017, when it originally offered to 30 students. It will now be offered to over 100 students during the fall semester. The NFL draft took place this weekend, and it looks like some of the former Hawkeyes' lives are changing forever.
That's right, Melissa. With an inside look into what this weekend means for those players, we have Lucy Rodine in the sports studio with a special post-draft show. Good morning, Lucy.
Morning, guys. Welcome to the DITV post-draft show. I'm your host, Lucy Rodine, and Iowa proved yet again that this weekend they are one of the best programs in the country for getting players to the NFL. So let's start things off by looking in the first round on Thursday night. First off the draft board for Iowa was tight end TJ Hawkinson, who was drafted at the 8th pick by the Detroit Lions. Detroit had only 45 catches from their tight ends last season. To put that in perspective, last year alone, Hawkinson had 49 catches for Iowa. He will be receiving passes from Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford and will be part of yet another dynamic duo at tight end with Jesse James, who the Lions recently picked up in free agency. Detroit made a lot of moves this offseason to improve their receiving game, and Hawkinson is going to be a big piece of that puzzle. Now, we didn't get to hear from TJ after the draft, but he did his best to preview the moment for us. And although I'm sure going to Nashville was nice and that contract he's getting is even nicer, he really just wants to play football.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I'm just, like I said, I mean, I'm really not in it for the glam or the glory, so you know, it's cool, but on the same hand, I'm just ready to go, dive into the playbook and learn, so.
Now, I'm sure TJ was a little more excited than that to hear Roger Goodell call his name on Thursday, and he got some attention on Twitter Thursday night for wearing the exact same jacket and tie to the draft that he wore for his Iowa football headshot. It's classic TJ. But moving on to part 2 of Iowa's double-headed monster at tight end, Noah Fant is officially a Bronco. Denver traded the number 10 pick to the Steelers for a second-round pick, a 2022 third-rounder, and pick number 20, where they found Joe Flacco's newest target, Noah Fant. Fant's speed and insane athleticism already has him as the favorite to be the #1 tight end in Denver, and he will be joining 3 other tight ends from the Big Ten in the Mile High City. After the selection, Broncos general manager John Elway tweeted he was very fortunate to land Fant at the 20th spot, and Fant is feeling very fortunate to get to share this big moment with his family.
It's going to be a day, where, my parents get to reap the benefits also of, being able to put me through my career and push me and provided me, a good parental figures, and not only them, but my brothers and sisters also. So it's going to be a very special day, and not only a special day for me, but a special day for my family.
Gotta love that from Fant there. Now, it hurts a little that he and Hawkinson have officially taken their talents to the NFL, but although Iowa may have lost those guys, they're gaining something else in return. Iowa was easily one of the most talked about programs heading into the draft, and offensive coordinator Brian Ferentz knows that exposure like that will help, but at Iowa, it's just about finding the right guys, like Hawkinson and Fant.
We should have a pretty good TV commercial Thursday night. Hopefully guys are watching, but ultimately it's still going to come down to recruiting the right guys. And TJ Hawkinson was a guy that had 2 offers when he committed to us. One was from us, one was from Iowa State. No one else was involved in him. Wasn't heralded. Wasn't heralded as recently as maybe 6 months ago. Now is looking at, fulfilling his dream of playing in the NFL. So I think it's a lot more about the person. Noah Fant had a few more offers, but Noah Fant wasn't a national recruit either. He was more of a regional guy. I guess UCLA was involved at the end. But it wasn't like he had a million schools that he was choosing from. It was pretty regional. And, ultimately he was the right person too.
And there were several other right guys for Iowa who are heading to the NFL. Anthony Nelson was drafted at the 107th pick in the 4th round to the Bucks. Amani Hooker heard his name just a few picks later when he was drafted by the Titans at the 116th spot, wrapping up the Hawkeyes that were drafted. But there are also some players picked up in free agency. Nick Easley signed a contract with the Bills, Matt Nelson signed with the Lions, Keegan Render is joining the Eagles, and Ross Reynolds is heading to the 49ers. And a couple of Iowa players will get their chance at a rookie minicamp. Sam Brinks will get his shot with the Packers, Jake Gervais is heading out to Oakland, Kyle Gronewig is going to Minnesota, and Parker Hesse will get his chance with the Chiefs. Now, out of all these players, I think outside of Hawkinson and Fant, the one that has the best shot at having a lengthy career in the NFL is actually Nick Easley with the Bills. I really like the way he fits into that system, and I think we can expect to see him make an impact immediately on special teams for Buffalo. But that's all the time I have for you today. Come back tomorrow to see how current football players are looking at the final spring practice, and hopefully they're looking good enough so that they'll be on our draft show next year. Melissa and Noah, back to you.
Marvel Studios has been known to break records with their movies in the past, but their most recent release has made waves throughout the film industry.
Avengers Endgame released wide on Thursday evening and has managed to break a staggering 144 records in just 4 days. The film has managed to make $1.2 billion in the first weekend, making it the #1 opening weekend in history.
On top of that, Avengers Endgame has broken 12 advanced ticket sales records, 44 opening weekend records, and 29 single-day grossing records. The film is estimated to become only the 5th movie to gross over $2 billion globally.
Thank you for tuning in this morning edition of DITV.
Be sure to head over to dailyiowan.com for all your latest news.
If that isn't enough of the Daily Iowan for you, be sure to check out our print edition of the news on stands now. For DITV, I'm Melissa Meter.
And I'm Noah Gowdy. Have a great day, Iowa City.